Hey, good evening, YouTubers. Good night, good morning, wherever you're watching this transmission. If you guys catch me on Trends in the Housing Market every Wednesday, you know that we've been talking about Seattle for the last 3.5 years. I've been specifically targeting Seattle since the foreign buyers tax went into Vancouver, was implemented into law, targeting foreign buyers. And then what happened was the Vancouver housing market kind of froze and plateaued. A lot of the foreign investors went to Toronto, and the smart ones went south to Seattle. And what's happening in the news? This is a really good article by CNBC and edited by Diana Olick here. It's a reality check. Seattle housing market is under pressure as Chinese buying dries up. So a lot of real estate agents from Vancouver went down to Seattle to work with their real estate counterparts there and give them or give them tips and show them how to get investors in and make brochures in foreign languages to come up and buy up the American proper. So let's see what happened here. In the last 2 years, both cities, both Chinese investors and families hoping to send their kids to American universities have fueled demand for the housing in Seattle, which has long enjoyed a strong Asian culture. But the Chinese yuan recent fall in value against the US dollar had made housing more expensive for Chinese buyers. In the Seattle metropolitan area, home prices skyrocketed 45% between August 2016 and now. On a currency-adjusted basis for Chinese buyers, they are up 54 points. So if they were to sell, if they've got gains, they'd make more and convert it back to their money, right? Which don't think that that's what they want to do, but Seattle has been arguably one of the hottest housing markets in America, with home prices rising annually by double digits, fueled by scorching demand. Again, I don't think it's auctioning and all this crap that's going on. There is, however, one side of the force that is starting to throw cold water on all the heat. New weakness from once intense Chinese buyers. It's also the capital outflows that are not leaving China's shores. A lot of money is being held back. The new Chinese government put in a new law, basically protecting its own country from the outflow of wealth leaving its shores, because there was a huge runoff. And I think the dip in their dollar, I guess it has to do with the trade embargoes and sanctions and all that crap, but a lot of it has to do with a lot of the wealth leaving their country in huge boatloads. The Pacific Northwest city has been one of the greatest beneficiaries of recent wave of Chinese buyers of U.S. real estate. Both Chinese investors and families hoping to send their kids to American universities have fueled demand for housing in Seattle, which has long enjoyed a strong Asian culture. In the last 2 years, the demand increased dramatically. In 2016, nearby Canadian city Vancouver slapped a 25% tax, here we go, on international home buyers in an effort to cool its own overheated housing market. Chinese investors who had been strong in that market simply moved south of the border to escape the tax. Here we go, people. Right there. There you go. It's exactly what I've been saying all these years. Chinese buyers are flooding into Seattle, said Jonathan Wilson, UBS 2016 interview. But the Chinese yuan recently fall in value against the US dollar has made housing more expensive for Chinese buyers. Now, Wilson said, Seattle could see the opposite of buying frenzy it had 2 years ago. I'm telling you, there is going to be a crash in prices. But do I think there's going to be a drop in the rate of increase? Yes, said Willis. This is bad. So if there's a drop of a rate in increase, and there's going to be a crash. So not looking good in Seattle. In the Seattle metropolitan area, home prices skyrocketed 45% between August 2016 and now. According to Wilson, on the currency-adjusted buys for Chinese buyers, they're up 54 points. The Chinese have very long time horizon, so if they are buying that home for a second or third home, or they are just going to buy it for their child, that's fair. But the huge run-up in prices, the depreciation of the yuan, is going to have an impact, he added. Seattle housing is already cooling. The number of homes for sale in King County, where Seattle resides, shot up 47% in May compared with the year ago, according to the Northwest Multiple Listing Services. Pending home price sales, which represents signed contracts, dropped nearly 9 points. Stephen Saunders is managing broker with Coldwell Banker Seattle and works with Chinese investors in Seattle market. It's drying up, he said. I just don't see the same kind of volume. The downtown Seattle condo market has come to a grinding halt, and that's where Chinese buyers were. Most of the clients are looking for properties in the $1 million to $3 million range, but he said the slowdown in buying is not all about the yuan. Thank you. It's not all about that. Believe me, there's more going on, people. It's not necessarily the decline in currency. It's the increasing restrictions on getting money out. Thank you. It's just getting tighter and tighter, he said, and adding that trade war between the U.S. and China is hitting the finances of some of his investor clients. As for Chinese families looking to buy homes for their children in the area, in just the past 6 to 10 months, that's dried up substantially, he said. Despite the increases in the supply of Seattle homes for sale, inventory is still incredibly low and barely 2 months worth, based on the level of sales. This is the same trend throughout the West, where overheated home prices caused by buyers to pull back. So this is what's happening all the way from basically Vancouver, or even north of Vancouver, from Whistler, basically, if you want to go a little bit further north, all the way down to San Diego. This is what's been happening right across. The great American buyout. Economic buyout of the United States of America. And the Seattle housing market has benefited enormously from the region's largest employer, Amazon. While there is concern earlier this year, the head tax on employers would cause a hiring slowdown. The tax was quickly repealed after enormous pressure from Amazon. The e-commerce giant, however, did report its first decline in its numbers of employees since 2009. It's talking about Amazon here. Okay. On the other hand, Olson said that actually thinks that the devaluation of the yuan could spur home buying in Seattle. If they're investment buyers in the first place, then really you just move down in your price point. But you're still really interested in the rate of the return. If you expect the yuan to continue to drop, then you have every reason to buy an asset that's not valued in yuan, she added. So this is something you got to see, guys. So you might see a lot of people parking more and more cash into the United States because of the less restrictions, the home buyer's tax. They don't have any of that there, right? So there's no protection against the American proper there. That's why California's being completely bought out, and abandoned cities, boarded up towns, boarded up small areas where there's jobs having to move out, people holding back from getting married and having kids and starting a family, because the whole home issue is key, and without a home they can't live properly and lay roots. So yeah, wagons east for all Californians and Oregonians and Seattleites. So let me know what's going on. What do you guys think? I've been talking about this forever, guys, like a broken record. I'll even bring up articles from 2 years ago that I brought up with this to kind of show you guys, you know, this is a huge, like this lady's saying here, a reality check and the housing disaster that's happening right now. And like I said, it's not inventory problem, it's an affordability problem. The American proper is just bought out of the whole West Coast pretty much right now, the way it sits. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.